Welcome to the AI Success and Failure for Support Teams webinar. I'm Yaniv. I'm co-founder and CEO at Ply. So what are we going to cover today? We're going to look at a lot, over 10 ideas you can implement to improve KPIs with AI. We're going to go over two frameworks. One is an actual framework. One is more of a list of things to be aware of one is to help you come up with ideas, and the second is to look at potential projects and kind of see where the red flags are. And I'm also going to share, hopefully, if we have enough time, 8 different demos, live demos of AI use cases. Some simple, some fairly complex. What we're not going to cover today is how to implement this. There's going to be no talk about the type of model you use, how to fine-tune something, vector databases, embeddings, and creating them, or any of that. Maybe we'll do another one at some point. Before we begin, who we are and how did this come to be? We're Ply. We're a no-code platform to build features. Features are little pieces of software that can live anywhere. They live inside other applications. So we let our customers, which are usually teams, and a lot of them are support teams, build little features or little pieces of software into their support software like Zendesk or Intercom or Salesforce Service Cloud or other, or into their support center towards their customers. So there's 2 types of features you can build, either internally for your team inside of your apps, or ones that are for your customers or towards your customers. A little bit about how we got here in terms of data. So we've learned from support teams ranging from 20 to 200, most of them are around 80 to 120. We have B2B teams that we've worked with, like B2 heavy B, enterprise, almost government, some of them government, and that have 500, 1,000 tickets a month. And we've also worked with teams with over 250,000 tickets a month, hard B2C, some of them reaching towards 1 million tickets. The way we measure success, so we don't have access to all of the dashboards of all of our customers, the BI dashboards. So we don't know every little thing. We did a few case studies and we have some data about how KPIs improved. But as a general rule, if we don't have data, the way we measure things is, are they used? Do people use this? Do customers use this? Do teammates use this, etc.? And of course, a disclaimer, this is AI. So tomorrow morning, everything might change, but Lastly, before we start learning, goals of this webinar to inspire, help come up with structured ideas, provide tools to estimate and prioritize these ideas. And one thing we're not going to talk about, and that's an easy win. If you came here trying to know more about how to provide a chat-based experience for your knowledge base for your customers, we're not going to talk about it. The reason is, it's great. Do it. There's nothing to know about it. It's super simple. There's a lot of vendors, likely your own knowledge management vendor or documentation vendor, help center, whatever it is already providing it. If they are not, they will in a few weeks or months. That on a technical level, it's not very, very complex. And there's just an upside. It's not even changing the way the customer uses your product. So they're used to searching for an article. Now they're doing the same. They're still typing, but getting a better answer. So easy win. If that's your question, go ahead, do it. All right. Let's start by putting ourselves in the right mindset. So we used to think about AI as this futuristic robot, humanoid, Terminator 2, whatever it is. We thought about it like a human. And then came ChatGPT, which popularized AI. And now everybody thinks about AI like a chat. The funny thing is, the first is actually better when you're trying to think about how to improve support or how to improve your business, or in general, how to think about AI. When you think about it like a chat-based experience, you're limiting what AI is and what it can do. So AI is not obviously a humanoid robot, but it is way better for you to think about it that way. So AI is also a chat-based assistant, but you need to stop thinking about it like one. So the way to try and think about AI is to think about it like an employee, which is extremely fast, ego-free, which is beautiful, and mostly by far less expensive to employ in almost any capacity. And just like other employees, it's amazing at some things and not so amazing at others. It needs the right guidance and resources. It can improve, and it also has a unique overhead. It's a little bit different than the overhead you have with humans, but it still overhead. So it's something to take into account. These are a couple of skills. So when we talk to support teams and try to break down what it is that AI can help them with, or how to think about these use cases, we usually think about AI as a set of skills, not AI is one big thing, LLM, knowing how it works. Nobody cares. If it would be a human, if it would be an employee, what would it be able to do? So it's more granular than it's great at content generation or data analysis. It's even smaller tasks than this, but these are good examples. So examples of things AI is good at: summarizing, extracting data, finding with embeddings even better, or a little bit differently, categorizing, and technical writing. The reason I write technical writing here, not just writing, is because I think still screenplays for Hollywood blockbusters still are better by humans. I'm not sure it will stay that way forever, but it's good. It's not amazing. Technical writing, it's amazing. It's better than most. What it is not so great at for now is this making decisions. And I think the first two are connected. Asking the right questions. So to make a decision, you need to know which questions to ask and what data is missing. And also to know what you don't know. So AI will always provide an answer. Everybody knows the hallucinations and the way that feels. Great. So now that we try to imagine AI like a human, or like an employee, or like a humanoid, and not like chat, would you think to post this job? So if there were no AI, likely not, and still not, right? But you wouldn't think, oh, I know what we need on our team. We need a support request categorizer. That is someone that sits and receives support requests and just categorizes them out of 5, 10, 50, whatever categories. So that's not it's not the way you think about your tasks or your team, but it is a way to think about AI. So we'll start with our first live demo. Wait, there it is. Okay, so what I have here is super simple intake form, support intake form. And we're going to look at intake with and without AI. So the two forms are completely similar, almost. I'm going to write in both, my product is broken, I shouldn't pay for this. And there are support categories, which we'll open this spreadsheet just to see. So the support categories in this case are technical support, billing inquiries, product feedback or issues, order status, updating shipping information, request a refund, a general inquiry. So now I'm going to experience first the regular form, if you will. So this one lets me choose a subject. I'm angry. I have a problem. So it's either technical support. I might choose, I have a product problem, and my product's broken. I shouldn't pay for this. So that was the regular experience. Now we're going to look at the AI-based experience. So here, there's no, remember, we just hired a support categorizer. And now there's no need to choose a category as a customer. It's easier, it's a friendlier form or friendlier intake. And I'm going to say the exact same. And now we'll look at both of the results. So obviously the customer said this is technical support. The AI said this is a request for a refund, which is correct. And of course, you can decide whether it's correct or not and define to your own support categorizer how you want to handle these things. No chat experience, no magical typing on the other end. Nobody seems like a human. It's not like talking to a human, but it is someone or something that does something for you. And this can have tremendous effect on your KPIs. So this can have significant impact depending on how you implement this. So assuming this is what of course your numbers are different, but assuming just 5% wrong categorization by your customers. And if you have a lot of categories that can easily be more than that. And also, they usually don't care. They just want to reach an agent. In a lot of cases, definitely when they're angry. So assuming just 5% wrong categorization, 5% of your tickets are routed to the wrong team, which means they will take longer than they should. And assuming 50% of the categories route to self-service and not the team, or even, in some cases more than 50%, you're losing all of those tickets that could have been deflected because you have a self-service mechanism in place. Maybe it's someone asking a question about when their order will be there, and you have a self-service mechanism to tell them, here's your tracking number, it will be there in 2 days. And also, if AI makes mistakes, you can easily fix it, and it will never happen again. You can define what is your logic to categorizing. I don't know if never happened, but the accuracy of categorizing with AI is extremely high. The effort to implement this, well, I built this in 4 minutes, but I know my way around my own product. But there's multiple ways, not just with Apply, of course, to implement these things. Really, if I'm giving it more time than it should, it took an hour, right? And the effect, the impact it had is amazing. No change to anybody's experience, even a little bit better in some way, and no chat experience, but hey, AI and impact. All right, let's look at another job example. So now that I've hired a support request categorizer, I want to hire uh, another person or another AI. This is a customer satisfaction brand consultant. Yes, this is the one I'm now inventing. So now I'm hopping into Zendesk. Wait, let's do it here. Okay. So I'm hopping into Zendesk, and what I want to do, let me grab my, there's some text here that I need. It's there, supposedly. Yes. So I'm hopping into Zendesk, and I'm going to go into my customers can't order. And in this theoretical scenario, I am My Art, which is a company that lets artists sell their creations online. So it's essentially a marketplace for artists. And I received a request from Abigail Smith. She says that customers have sent me messages that they can't order some of my items. Can you help? And the support agent that writes this message, maybe they're not focused right now. Maybe their English isn't perfect because they're mostly treating other markets, and now you have too many tickets in English and they need to answer a ticket not in their native language. There's multiple things. Or maybe they're just new. And the way they write this is they're saying, "Dear Abigail, I located your item on our site. You need send more stock for selling this item." Now, at My Art, we don't use the words item. We use creation, and we don't call it our site. We call it the marketplace. And we want to be friendly. We're a brand like that. And a lot of the customer satisfaction when dealing with support is not just getting your question answered, but rather how it feels, right? It's humans. And here, what I've created is my new employee, which make my message on brand. So when I click this, this is a apply feature in case you didn't get that until now. So here's what the AI, how it rewrote my message. So, "Hey, Abigail, great news. I found your creation on our marketplace. Could you send us more stock to keep selling this creation? Thanks a bunch." So, of course, you can play with this and define your own brand and logic. So I asked it to add at least one emoji because I don't know, that's my art, my art's vibe. But it can be with wording, it could be with language, it could be with translation. And again, rewriting things on brand, even if they are good English, and just making them more friendly or trying to make them sound the same for everyone is a really powerful concept. And again, you wouldn't employ someone that's what they do, right? So you would not look or post a job for a customer satisfaction brand consultant, which I invented. All right, full screen again. So takeaways from part one. Number one is that AI is not just chat. You can think about it like an employee. It helps. AI can be part of existing processes, and small AI solutions can have a big impact on KPIs. If you think about how all of your customers feel because you're on brand and have no mistakes, or how requests are routed and going to self-service or the right team because you have a support categorizer, that can have an immense impact. All right. Next is it's basically two questions to guide thoughts about AI, and we'll get to the good and bad examples at the end, of course, as promised. Um, but these are all things that we've learned working with a lot of customers that try to implement different things, or sometimes the same thing, but different customers, which is a really interesting concept. We've seen the same customers try to implement the exact, almost exact same solution, and it might work or not based on other factors. So the first one is, does this solution belong to my team internally, or is this a customer-facing solution? So just earlier, I showed you one request intake form that is a customer-facing thing, and a brand consultant or a rewriter, which is internal. In general, this is the way we look at it. There's two axes here, or two axes, I'm not sure. There's how, or B2B versus B2C is more, I guess, the size of the deal. So if it's B2B and you are a SaaS company selling, contracts of $100 a month, it's more B2C-ish. When I say B2B and to the extreme of that axis, I mean enterprise, government. Those are people that, one, expect to talk to a human, at least for now. This might change over the next few years, but for now, they expect to talk to a human. And if there's a mistake, they're unforgiving, regardless of what it is about, because they pay good money and they expect you to, employ the best people and let them invest the best time, or the maximum amount of time to support them in the best way. The other thing is, what is the cost of a mistake, right? So even if it's completely customer facing, but the thing that it does is approves a refund. So if you have hallucinations or a problem, or whatever the problem is with approving a refund, and now you've approved 5 times or 20 times the amount of refunds, that's high risk, of course. Any legal, in general, anything that is more in the legal area or health area is usually, even if it's B2C, of course, isn't. AI is hard in general, but definitely not customer facing. And everything I'm saying here, of course, there are solutions, even to enterprises, even in sensitive areas. The question is, what is the effort required to provide a solution with AI to those problems? So if you have a 30-person team building one solution based on AI for whatever it is, they can likely tackle even the hardest things, enterprise and high cost of mistake, because they can put in guardrails and safeguards and all kinds of different things. But for most teams, this is just not realistic. All right, the second question is, can it be hard-coded? So with AI, everybody a little bit forgot that, well, software is magical still, right? So I created an example here of the same scenario where it's a prioritization algorithm, if you will, where the first one is hard coded. So if it's a VIP or a customer with an SLA, then yeah, it's high priority. If it's not, are they set to renew in the next 2 months? If yes, then yeah, they're high priority, or the ticket is high priority. If none of these are true, then it's low priority. This will never fail. Never. It's faster, it's cheaper, it's exact, it's based on data. Remember the buzzword from like 2-3 years ago, data driven? So this is not even the heavy part. This is a light data driven. It's based on data. So hard coded is amazing. With AI, the part where you define how you want it to work is easier. So you can just write whatever you want. The problem is it's a black box. So if there's an error, it will be hard to find and hard to debug. And if it's worth it, then you should. But in a case where there is hard-coded options, usually we recommend opting for hard-coded options. And lastly, there's hybrid. So AI, remember, has specific skills that just code doesn't have. So for example, if you want to say if a ticket has a very strong negative sentiment, that's not something you can code. And that's how, in a way, I would use AI in this theoretical scenario. So hybrid lets you kind of uh, um, put everything under a hard-coded mechanism or inside a hard-coded mechanism. You can say if they're SLA or if they're a VIP customer, high priority, it's based on data from the CRM. If they're set to renew in under 2 months, yes, high priority. And then you can ask AI to give you their sentiment. And these models, by the way, exist before the latest LLMs, and they work very well. And then you can say hard-coded if the sentiment is under 79, whatever the numbers are, then they're high priority and I want to talk to them. So takeaways here. The more sensitive, the more internal. Sensitive is kind of a all encapsulating of enterprise, of health, of legal, of financial, the cost of a mistake. All of these are sensitive things. And secondly, hard-coded is better than AI, just in most cases, unless AI can do something that code can't do. And hybrid is best, and also not always needed. Okay, now for a framework. So when we talk to teams, to support teams, um, here's what, not just support teams, but everyone. Here's how everything starts. How can we use AI? So there are executives and directors and managers out there tasked by their CEOs, managers, board, whoever, to find ways to utilize AI. Why? Because one, it's a huge shift, and you don't want to be left behind. Because it's in the news, and every person has a lunch with someone. Oh, you know what we're doing with AI, and it's like this talk. But the question, how can we use AI, is it's a good question, but not great to work with. So here's the not great question is how we can use AI. A better question is, what do we want to achieve? How can AI help do that? So if we want to improve our customer satisfaction, or our first response time, or the accuracy of our answers, or the quality of our data, or the way we manage knowledge, these are things we want to achieve, and they have KPIs and they have numbers, and then go to AI. And that's still a little bit of a hard question. So an easier question is, what do we do? And can it be delegated to AI? And this is the framework that I'm going to show you right now. So when you think about what you do, it's just easier to list what you actually do, because you can observe what you do. You can look at tickets. You can look at your team and what they do. You can look at analytics. You can look at a lot of things and start from somewhere, not this open question up in the air where I need to say something cool about AI, but it doesn't, at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year, when I need to show my improvement with KPIs, of course, I would like to throw AI in there, but I would more than that want to throw in better numbers, right? Because otherwise, nothing really matters. So here's the framework on a high level, and we're going to drill down into this. Start with what you do, not the models or the products or whatever else. And you map, then, and we'll get into these, you map, you break down, you identify potential, and then you estimate. Let's look at what this looks like from the inside. So the first thing you do is map. You map all the tasks that your team handles. The same goes for customers. So you map all of the things your customer does, not the categories of their requests, but rather what they actually do. What are their problems? This is presented from the team perspective, but it works the same way. So first, you list all the tasks your team handles. You go over the last 120, whatever number of tickets. You brainstorm with the team. You look at reports and analytics. You take a look at your to-do list, and you see, oh, these are things I need to take care of because this is what we're doing. This is what we're handling. So on the left, you'll see the theory, and on the right, an example, which I'll also show you with an actual demo at the end. So as an example, my team at my art, They do only five things. Of course, you probably have 79,000. But at my art, we reset accounts, we track shipments, we refund an order, we escalate a bug, and we create feature requests. That's the support team at my art. All right. Now that we have a list of things, we want to break it down. You take every task and you break it down into the most granular actions you can. And the best way to do this is to watch or record a team member performing the task. There are tricky tasks that happen in the person's brain and can be delegated. That's something we found. So things you think about and make a decision about. So decisions are not great, but some decisions or categorizing or things like that, or knowledge that is stored, you can't see when you look at someone, or it's just when you interview them or think about how you would do that task. And if you're not sure if something is one or two tasks, pro tip, it's two, always. Just you want to get granular. So let's look at a very simple breakdown of escalating a bug, which is the one task right now that I'm breaking down. Of course, you do this over and over for every task. So first thing is I troubleshoot with my customer because they say they have a problem, but it might not be a problem. So the first thing I do is I use my knowledge and resources to tell them, try to reset your computer, or I don't know, anything depending on your field. Then I need to decide it's actually a bug, and that's up to me. I'm the knowledgeable person in this conversation, and I'm supposed to know, okay, this is an actual problem, or maybe I need to ask someone, but eventually someone decides that there's an actual bug. Then I need to escalate it, but first, in most teams, I need to check if it already exists. So, a bug would repeat itself and multiple people would say that it exists, and then I don't want to create multiple occurrences of the same bug. I need to summarize a problem if I need to create a new one. I need to categorize it to the right. So the same way that a support team needs good categorization to handle the right things, R&D teams or operations teams, if it's shipping things, or any other team would need it to be categorized. And I need to prioritize, is this super important or not? Great. So now that I've broken down my escalated bug task, I want to identify potential. Which of these tasks can be delegated to AI or code? Remember, hard code is always, not always, but mostly better, at least in my mind. So does this require specific knowledge? Is this knowledge organized and accessible to an AI model? Does it match an AI skill, an AI skill that we think is a good potential? And by the way, this is another good tip. If you're not sure if AI can do something or not, just open ChatGPT, write a prompt like you would. You don't need any engineering, any thinking about how this would integrate into the workflow or anything like that. Just open it, see how the results look, and try to challenge it in different ways. Take 5 tickets, throw them in there with copy paste, and see if it works. Is the cost of a mistake tolerable? Will the user know if it's a mistake and have a way to mitigate or to kind of get out of it? So in this case, I've identified potential for 3 of these. So troubleshooting, maybe customer facing, too complex, not going to get into it. Deciding it's an actual bug, I'm going to leave to humans for a long while. Check if already exists. Well, here in a hybrid approach, you can do that. You can do either only AI, which is a bit more complex, but in a hybrid approach, you can do that. Summarize a problem. Remember, summarizing, AI is amazing at that. Categorizing, also, we've proven that part. And prioritizing, you could do with AI, but as we've seen earlier, better with code. So now that I've identified the potential for 3 different actions out of this task, I'll try to estimate. So it's great that I see it and its potential. I'm not doing AI to have AI. Remember, I'm trying to achieve better KPIs. So what are the KPIs affected? How often does it happen? What would it take to build and maintain? And are there excessive costs involved, except for building it and maintaining it? And in some cases with AI, there are. And in this case, I'm under escalate a bug. I left only my 3 actions under escalating a bug. And this, at my art, this happens 1,000 times every year. The main KPIs that are affected are saving time and data quality, because we get feedback all the time from the R&D team that the bugs aren't good enough and it takes longer and makes customers unhappy because we can't solve bugs because of the data quality or whatever. So these are the two KPIs that are affected. It happens 1,000 times a year, and now I'm going one by one. So check if it already exists. The impact is low. Mostly my team knows, right? If you're a very large team, this would have a higher impact. And the effort is, I'm assuming 2 days to solve this problem with AI or to set this up. Summarize a problem. The impact is on average 13 minutes. By the way, we've checked how long it takes, how long executives assume things take to agents and how long it actually takes. So everything you assume takes 2 or 4 minutes usually takes 15 or 24, just because in reality things take longer. So here I assumed it would take 13 minutes to summarize a problem, especially if it's technical and I'm not used to this, is not the main thing I do, per ticket, which is 216 hours annually. The effort it would take to solve this is 4 hours, which looks like a really good candidate. And then categorizing the bug takes me 30 seconds as a support agent. Not per 16 hours, I think it's 16 hours annually supposed to be. And the effort is 4 hours to solve. So with this, in this scenario, I have decided for whatever reason, now that I have all of that information, that I want to implement a way to summarize a problem within the escalated bug scenario, which would save me 216 hours expected every year. So now let's see that in action. So I'm going to delete this. So I'll go into a different ticket here. Here I have a bug. And different Abigail is saying that she can't log into our product. And what I want to do is escalate this bug. So I've built a feature with Ply here on Zendesk. There are other ways, of course, to implement this. And this feature reads, when I click it, it reads the current ticket, and we escalate to Jira in this scenario. So I choose to report a bug and add some details like Abigail is awesome. And when I click next, the way I chose to implement this is to summarize and show the agent the summary. So they are responsible to read it before it goes out. And of course, also in the summary, you can define how long and what data you want in. You can make this exactly like or tailor this exactly to your needs and to how your team works. And now I just escalated this bug with a summary that I did not have to create. And of course, this is a really simple bug, but a lot of the bugs are very complex, and I would need to ask them first about their browser version and their internet connection or whatever else, and everything can be extracted and summarized into this beautifully. All right. So this is the framework. And now we want to look at success and failure examples. I try to have as many examples as possible and to show you a lot of demos. It's impossible in under an hour. So what I'll do is I'll explain verbally, and I will show a few examples. There's going to be like 4 or 5 more little demos to get your head around how these things can work and how to think about them. So successful things, customer facing. First, and that's what I said in the beginning, search is a search alternative for docs with AI. It's amazing. And I wouldn't, by the way, go searching for the best one tomorrow. It's going to be a commodity. Everybody's going to do it very well. It is not complex. And the only thing to note there is that if you're going to use your own docs app to do it, you're likely going to pay a premium. It's not a bad thing always, but some of them I've seen charge an excessive premium. I'm hoping this will the market will do what it does best, because it's not something complex. Of course, on this will come layers of things that make it more powerful and more complex. Categorize, route to the right resource. We've seen that demo in the beginning. OCR is AI. Like, I think everybody's thinking about not just chat, but OpenAI. OCR has been around for a long while, and now OCR powered by AI is just amazing, is wildly good. So we have all of these, by the way, are based on customers and what they've built. We have a customer that has implemented a customer-facing feature, we call them, right? Like an intake form, if you will, that is smart and connected. So the customer can take their phone, take an image of a receipt, and then without entering a lot of information, and they need a lot of information from that receipt, without entering anything, it just recognizes whatever it is and just provides an answer. That is it. And what that does is, one, it deflects, I think, 30 or 35% of the tickets of that type, but it encourages customers to use it. Because I need to enter this data, I'm not sure where, and that's the transaction ID, and that's the receipt ID, and that's the thing, and sometimes I also only have it in my phone on my phone, so I need to move between apps on my phone and remember and copy and paste and whatever. If I have that image already, I just upload it and it works. And OCR is AI, so magical implementation. In general, AI as an interface for narrow self-service use cases. So AI is an amazing interface for some things. It's not amazing for everything, but it's amazing for something. So any menu can be chat-based. If there are 5 options, it's not great. If there's 20 categories and each has 20 subcategories and each has 20 subcategories, you might think about changing that navigation to an AI assistant-ish, or something you type and provides you more options. It's really easy to implement, encourages self-service, and customers are happy about it. Internally, rewrite messages, we've seen pre-written drafts for tickets, either before an agent goes in or recommends specific things, or when they click and choose things. I'll show you examples of that in a sec. We've seen a good implementation and also a bad one, which I'll get to this in a sec, of recommended macros. So some teams have used macros in Zendesk and Intercom and in other support apps. And the problem is, I'm a new agent, and even if I'm not, I don't know that they're all the 400. So I don't know even what to search for. I don't know what is the best. So there might be 5 possible scenarios, but there's one that is the best, or I can't find all of them. So AI is really good at reading a ticket and choosing the top 3 macros out of a list and recommending them. Recommended playbooks. So troubleshooting playbooks or upsell playbooks. You can use AI to analyze the ticket or the message from the customer and say, here's what you need. Ask them to restart their computer. Now plug back in. Now wait 5 minutes. And that's just because it knows there's 40 different troubleshooting playbooks. But again, the agent doesn't necessarily know all of them. Data analysis, identifying and alerting about trends and anomalies. We've seen amazing implementations, AI assistance for specific scenarios, and I'll get to non-specific scenarios in a second. I'll show you a demo. Data extraction and prefill, and summarizing tickets with escalations and asking questions, which we've seen, and I'll show you another one right now. So 2 quick demos, data extraction and prefilling, and summarizing tickets when asking questions. So here, let's go to, I'll go back to the other ticket. So here, what I want to do is, let's go here. So here's a horrible ticket. Someone wrote this. I don't know why, but they did. So struggling to share memories. I, in this scenario, have an app that syncs things between my phone and computer. And apparently, or in our company, there's a thing with syncing problems, and now we're trying to tackle it. So we were asked by the R&D, for every person that asks, that says that they have a syncing issue they want to know, and to add it to a spreadsheet. So if I need to read through this or summarize it, I will not be happy. It will take me a while. But I can add sync problems to a spreadsheet. And here, AI can't just summarize it. It can also extract the order ID, which is the way our R&D asked for it. And this is an example, and you can extract multiple items. You can extract from unstructured data, any data that you need to run whatever it is that you need to run. So that's one example. And the other is here I wanted to send, okay, I want to ask in Slack a question about this ticket. So I'm not sure how to handle this. I click a feature, apply build feature to ask in Slack. And I want to send this to demos. And My question is, what do I do? And here in this scenario, I don't want to edit the summary. I just want AI to summarize it, and it just did, and added an internal note. And if I go to Slack, hopefully there it is. So this is the ticket summary. You can define how long you want it to be or not. But again, I didn't have to do much. I just wanted to ask a question. And now my team has an easier time answering that question because they don't have to go into the ticket and read everything else. What are bad implementations? Or I wouldn't say bad, but we've seen them fail for a bunch of reasons. There's a longer list, but I tried to give you a few. And after this, I'll show you a list of red flags on how to identify not so great ideas or implementations that might fail. Anything that's not transparent is problematic. And it's tempting to try and do it, but really we recommend not to. We've seen auto select macros or auto select anything that is too complex and has a lot of similar options. These tend to work. Sometimes they don't work off the bat, but the problem is they tend to work well for a while. And then they, over time, people get used to it and they're not maintained properly. Auto select assumes everything is always documented to the best possible way. And if there's someone who manages it, that can work. But in a lot of teams, this sometimes, and auto select anything, gets a little bit too out of hand. And it's hard to implement changes in business logic. It's hard to debug why it happened. So it's not that it can't succeed, but we've seen it fail. And of course, the internal all-encompassing assistant, which I'll show you, I think, a good implementation of that in a sec, but also the comparisons. Expectations can lead to mistakes. If I believe the assistant can do anything, and you will see soon, can hallucinate easily, then I'll just trust it. And I need to be more knowledgeable than the assistant in order to use it. So if everyone is super knowledgeable and knows everything, it works, but otherwise, huge risk. And typing, the concept of typing is amazing when you're looking for something. Other than that, in most cases, unless you're looking for something or typing a message, if there's a closed number of scenarios, it's better not to type. So now I'm going to show you 3 different features, and they're all trying to solve the same problem. Where's my? All right. I'll go back to my customers can't order. And here, it gets a little bit more complex with data. So I'm still working at MyArt. I'm an agent at MyArt. And reminder, MyArt is a marketplace that lets artists sell their creations to their customers. And at MyArt, we have a few data sources. In this scenario, I have 3. One is the MyArt database, here represented as a spreadsheet, but could have been, your internal database, Airtable, or any other app. And in this internal database at MyArt, we have a list, a very simple database with a list of all of the products, and each has all the units sold and the price per unit and total sales for the artist ID. So there are a couple of artists here and the names of all the products, like contemporary glass art. There's also another table here with the artists, Elon, Jensen, and all of these, and their plan, and of course Abigail, our customer that we are speaking to, which is the ID 106. Other than this, there's another data source, which is meeting recordings in Notion. So we save meeting recordings in Notion, all the Zoom meetings get saved, and we save all that database in Notion, so we have everything organized, and we have the transcripts and whatever. That's how at MyArt we work. And of course, there's also HubSpot. We have a CRM, and Abigail has a deal called Abigail the Artist for $1,000 in HubSpot. So now that you know everything about MyArt and its data sources, let's see an AI assistant that can do like an all-encompassing or a data assistant, a customer data assistant built on that data. Hopefully I build it correctly and it will load. Great. So now I have an AI assistant built on the data. It is contextual. It knows I'm talking to Abigail, and I can ask it questions. And it's magical, right? AI feels magical when you ask it questions and it can answer. So I can ask something like, what's her top selling item? This is without mentioning who she is or what I'm talking about. It already knows, right? Because I fed it all of the data, who she is, all of her meeting recordings and items and sales and deals. And that is it. And what's how much money did she sell it for? So it can answer questions, like AI, but relevant to this person I'm speaking with, which is awesome. But in this case, she says that customers have whatever, and what I want to do is I want to provide her with some more information. I don't know if this is the right ticket, but let's say, can you draft a message with top selling item with numbers, the latest meeting recording, and a reminder about items that are out of stock. So I can ask the assistant to write a message for me based on actual data. So it says, hi, Abigail, I hope this message finds you well, blah, blah, blah. Your top selling item, the contemporary glass art, has shown impressive sales with its numbers. Your artwork is truly resonating with our customers, and we're excited to see this level of engagement. Additionally, I wanted to ensure you have access to the latest meeting recording. And here's the meeting recording. And lastly, it's important to note that your contemporary glass art and hand carved stone sculptures are currently listed as out of stock. To maintain the momentum, blah, 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 please do it. So I can use this answer, and I just magically, with AI, created a draft. So that's kind of the demo for AI that is magical with a chat assistant. And again, I think it's for some use cases when you have a lot of information and things are not very recurring, so you need to ask different questions about your customers, about your data every time. An AI assistant is wonderful and the only really, really good solution. But if it's fairly often that I have a couple of types of messages and not endless options, there's another implementation possible, and that is to draft a message, right? Because that's what I wanted to do here eventually. I didn't need to ask all these questions. I wanted to draft a message. And if that is the use case, I don't necessarily need an AI assistant. I can have predefined options, and it will still use AI, right? This is still an AI feature, an AI piece of software, but it doesn't look as like an assistant. And to an extent, this is easier to use. This is easier to explain to my team. They can't ask it things that it will say it can do and it can't. By the way, the other assistant, I tested it earlier. It said it can help me schedule with Abigail, and it's not connected to anything that will let it schedule, but it said it could. So here, what do you want to draft? I want to draft something reminding the artist about items out of stock and share latest meeting recording. So just chose two of these, can be drop down or any other interface. And now it's sending it to AI with absolutely no chat interface. But hey, it did the trick. So this is way faster for me as an agent to do if the options are limited. And it's also more controllable. You can also add analytics to this. What are they using it to draft? They can ask for more drafts, and it's something that you can control better and see the results of better. Unlike an open assistant, which still you can measure and analyze and improve, but it's still harder. And lastly, remember hard-coded versus AI? What if I don't use AI at all? So to draft a message for multiple scenarios, and if you want to make it scalable and have a list of things that can draft messages about, AI is definitely the way to go. If you just have one that revolves around data, you don't need AI. And let me show you that as well. So let's say I only want to share meeting recordings from Notion and not the other stuff and ask questions about it. This piece of software, this feature, just lets me choose the recordings I want to share. And it also drafted a message. This one is a template. It will always look like this. It will not change. I can add the name of the customer or my name or whatever I want. And there's also a safe thing about it. So again, if there's one use case, usually hard coded, if there's multiple, but up to 10, 20, 30, use AI, but not necessarily chat. If you don't know what people want to do and it's kind of endless and you need to ask and analyze data to answer questions, then a chat assistant is probably the way to go. All right. Nearing the end. Here's the promised list of indicators that should raise a red flag about an initiative. So if it assumes a behavior change from the customer, that is 99% that it's going to fail. Customers will not change their behavior unless you give them something better, of course. And in most cases, we've seen ideas or implementations that are not as good. The team, you can make them change a little bit, by the way, not to the fullest. So if your team doesn't like using it, they will not use it either. You can make them a little bit. Depends on anything that depends on significant change in how you save data. If you want to get into that project, sure. Depends on documentation that isn't owned by anyone. That is always problematic because, well, that's what it knows. That's the knowledge. The AI would do great, but the implementation wouldn't work very well. Anything under this will solve 7 different problems or 50 different problems. It's possible, right? If you have a 30-person team to build just this with engineers and product managers and everything, and you can dedicate their next year or 2 to doing this, and it will pay off for you, then yes, you can do almost anything. But assuming that's not the case, then don't try to solve everything with one solution. AI shouldn't make business decisions that are sensitive unless you have a 30-person team. Explaining the logic, if it takes explaining the logic to AI more than 2 or 3 paragraphs, then it's prone to be problematic. So it's all of these are not don't do it. It's red flags. It's things to double check. Anything that depends on fine-tuning a model and you don't have a dedicated team, not linked to an existing issue your team already handles, that's just fluff, usually. All right, takeaways. So there's more than one way to tackle a problem with AI. I just showed you 3 different features to tackle the problem of drafting a message based on data. And internal improvements save just as much as deflecting tickets. So when you look at a problem, deflecting tickets is very directly connected to cost savings. You have X tickets, and now you have X minus 10%. Having the same amount of tickets, but reducing the handling time by 10% would have the same impact on your cost savings and improve your resolution times. But it's harder to kind of imagine and do. Usually we find that the low-hanging fruit are internal rather than external, of course, except having a chat assistant based on your docs. This is the time for the shameless plug. Support leaders love us. Everything you've seen is built with Ply. Our customers have built amazing things and drastically improved their KPIs. If you want to know more, hear more, chat with us. That's it. Thank you so much for being with me today. Let's see if there are any questions, open questions that still require answering. Someone asked if this is the native AI assistant in Zendesk. No, everything you've seen today is all Ply based. So all of the AI was built with Ply. All the features were built with Ply, the customer facing, the internal facing, everything was built with Ply. That's it. If you want to talk to us, go to go.ply.io/demo. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much and have a great day.